Hello everyone, my name is Robin Savoy and today I will be explaining the flow through the heart. This is part 2 of the circulatory system introduction. This comes from Khan Academy and my knowledge also comes from different sources of the internet. So, without further ado, let's start. Today, no, before I'm going to begin, I'm going to explain a few terms so that you are going to understand my explanation. First of all, a vein collects blood, mostly deoxygenated blood, and brings it towards the heart. The artery distributes blood to the body and takes it away from the heart. On my drawing, the blue tubes are veins and the red tubes are arteries. Then the aortic arch is this right here. This is an arch of the aorta. Well, yeah, the aorta isn't the biggest artery. And this, the aortic arch brings blood to the head. Then finally, a valve, which are these black kind of spikes or V's. These make sure that blood goes into the right direction. I'm going to give you an example. If blood goes from the right atrium through the tricuspid valve, so this is a valve, this is the atrium, to the ventricle, it goes this way, and the valve makes sure that blood can't go back, because that would make you very sick and it just wouldn't work. So that's how that works. Yeah, let's tell the story, because I call it kind of a story. The flow through the heart. It goes this entire path, and yeah, let's just begin. I'm going to repeat myself a few times to make sure that you really understand it. But let's just jump into it. Here you have the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. These are very important veins because they are the main distributors of deoxygenated blood through the right atrium. So these collect blood, and the blood that is deoxygenated comes through the right atrium, right here, and continues to go into the tricuspid valve, or through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. This here is the right ventricle. So, vena cava collects blood through the right atrium, through the tricuspid valve, into the right ventricle. Now, this deoxygenated blood goes through the pulmonary valve, which is this little one right here. Also, note that this illustration of the heart isn't, of course, anatomically purely correct. It's just a good illustration to understand how your heart works. Of course, the scales and stuff, it's not 100% correct. But I figured you already knew that. So, the deoxygenated blood goes through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary artery. Now, from the last vid, you should know what the pulmonary flow is, but I'm going to give you a quick recap. The pulmonary flow is the thing that blood cells go through the lungs, get rid of their waste, get oxygenated, get nutrients, and go back to the heart. So that's exactly what happens. The blood goes through the pulmonary artery to the lungs. These green things are the lungs. Then here, the blood cells get oxygenated, get rid of waste like carbon dioxide, and get nutrients. Then they come back through the pulmonary veins and end up right here in the left atrium. Notice how the color went from blue to red. This is because blue stands for deoxygenated blood and red stands for oxygenated blood. So the oxygenated blood goes through the mitral valve, which is this one right here, into the left ventricle. Now, the oxygenated blood is in the left ventricle and gets squeezed into the aortic valve. Now notice how I say squeezed. As I mentioned in the last video, the heart is a pump. So every time it squeezes, blood gets pushed through the valves, and of course it tries to go back, but the valves make sure that that doesn't happen. So, through the aortic valve into, of course, the aorta, then a lot of blood gets distributed to the head through the aortic arch, and a lot of blood gets distributed to the entire body through millions of other arteries. So that's actually it. That's what I wanted to talk to you about today. What happens to the blood when distributed from the aorta is the systemic flow. So basically the blood, the oxygenated blood that gets distributed to the entire body from head to toe, except for the lungs, which is the pulmonary flow. And the oxygenated blood gets brought back by a lot of veins and finally end up in the right atrium again. And then the circle is full. Now, of course, there are other things going on the heart, like the coronary vessels, which are the ones who nourish for the heart. I explained a bit about those in the last video, but today I just wanted to talk to you about the very basic flow through the heart, which you now understand. The vena cavus, the atrium, ventricle, pulmonary flow, atrium, ventricle, aorta. And that's kind of it. Thank you for watching. I know this isn't the most complex stuff that I'm teaching right now, because I'm going through the basics. With time it will get progressively more difficult, but for now we must remain happy. We understand this, so that's very good. Next time I will be talking about the two circulations in the body. It will be of the same difficulty, maybe it's a bit longer, you'll see, but you shouldn't worry. If a 15-year-old can explain it, you can understand it. So thank you very much for watching this video, and yeah, until the next one, cheers.